Right, I will say good morning. Let's begin. Do today, Baruch Hashem, beautiful daf ahead of us. Today's daf is Kuf Beis 102. We are picking up on Kuf Aleph Amud Beis 101b, the last line, Mesri. So I'll say, remember again, we're gonna have a little bit of a beautiful Agarata today. I should have put it out on the WhatsApp. A little bit of beautiful Agarata. So specifically, we're focusing on whether or not Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen. So the Gemara says, the Gemara suggested that Moshe Rabbeinu served in the capacity of the Kohen Gadol. The Gemara then asked the question. The Gemara then posed the contradiction to that, but then the Gemara ultimately again diffused that contradiction. So Meisvei, the Gemara now raises a question to the concept as to whether or not Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen Gadol. Meisvei, Miriam Mihizkira. But when Miriam contracts, when Miriam contracts tsaras, who ultimately again, who went ahead and his gira means Rabbi say put her in isolation. Who put her in isolation as a result of her tsaras? So the Gemara says Im Tomar Moshe's gira. If you want to say that Moshe Rabbeinu was the one ultimately again who had secluded her because of her tsaras, that can't be Moshe Zarhu. Moshe Rabbeinu Rabbi say was what? Thank you, Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu was a non-Kohen. And therefore, again, as a Zar, as a non-Kohen, so Moshe Rabbeinu did not have the right to go ahead and isolate her. So the Gemara says, Tap of Kuf Beis, Ve'in Zar Roes Hanigoyim. And a Zar, a non-Kohen, does not have a license, does not have a right to go ahead and examine Saras. Vim Tomar Aaron is Gira. And if you want to say that it's Aaron who went ahead and isolated her, Aaron Karavu. We'll say Aaron was a relative. Ve'in Karov Roes Hanigoyim. And I will say ultimately again, a relative cannot go ahead and examine. A relative cannot go ahead and examine Sarah. So we'll say, so here we have the problem. We have Moshe Rabbeinu ultimately again. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Zar. Aaron was a Karov. Ella Kavod Kadol Chalak La Kadosh Baruch Hu Miriam. Rather, it must be that what? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a great covet to Miriam. What was the great covet that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to Miriam? Osasha ani kohen va'ani masgira. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, that moment, in other words, Rebbe Shalom acted in the capacity of a Kohen, and it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu who went ahead and isolated her. Ani cholta va'ani potra. I will go ahead and confirm her tzara as a status, and ultimately again, when time, I will exempt her, or I will literally again free her from her tzara'as status as well. So we'll say, so first of all, an incredible Gemara that HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts as the Kohen Gadol ultimately again for Miriam. Obviously, what one could infer from this Gemara as well is that although being a karov is a psul by a regular Kohen, it is not a psul by a Kohen Gadol. A Kohen Gadol does have the ability to go ahead and see the negoim, even of a relative. That's why the Gemara entertains the idea that if Moshe Rabbeinu would have been the Kohen Gadol, he would have had the right to go ahead and examine the tzaras of Miriam. But we'll say, but for our purposes, Katari Mihas, what do we see from here? Moshe Zar ve'in roas hanigoyim. But we'll say, but for our purposes, what do you see from here? You see from here that Moshe Rabbeinu was treated as a non-Kohen, and therefore again, a non-Kohen does not examine tzaras. So we'll say again, so for us the takeaway is what? Moshe Rabbeinu apparently was not a Kohen Gadol. Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, so Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak says as follows: Shiny Maros Negoim, the Aaron Ubanav Ksub Meparsha. See, Negoim Saras is different. Why is Saras different? Because we will say ultimately again, the pasuk says explicitly that Saras is the domain of Aaron and his sons. So because it writes explicitly that it's the domain of Aaron and his sons, therefore, I will say Moshe Rabbeinu will be by definition excluded from this avodah. So we'll say, so therefore again, we're still at a little bit of a standstill. Was Moshe Rabbeinu a Kohen? Was Moshe Rabbeinu not a Kohen? Or I should say Kohen Gadol. We're not really focusing on Kohen over Kohen Gadol. So still inconclusive. Meisvei. We'll say these Gemaras are absolutely amazing. Meisvei. Chamish smachot haisa Elisheva Yisera al Bnos Yisrael. So we'll say Elisheva, who was the wife of Aaron HaKohen, everyone was besimcha on the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan. Elisheva had 5 additional elements of simcha over everyone else on that day. What were her elements of simcha? Number one. I'm sorry. Abnos Yisrael. Yivama Melech. Her brother-in-law was the king. Her brother-in-law, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu, was the king. Isha Kohen Gadol. Her husband was the Kohen Gadol, Aaron. Bina Sigan. So ultimately, again, her son Elazar was the assistant Kohen Gadol. Ben Bina Mashuach Milchama. Her grandson Pinchas was the Mashuach, the Kohen Mashuach Milchama, the Kohen who was anointed to lead the army into war. Va'achah Nasi Shevet. And her brother Abosei was Nachshon ben Aminadav, who was a tribal prince. So everyone is incredible simcha and Yom HaShmini. Elisheva Abosei is privileged that her husband, son, grandson, brother-in-law, and brother all occupied positions of incredible leadership within Klal Yisrael. Unfortunately, Va'avela Ashnei Banel. But on that day, she also became bereaved of her two sons, Nadav and Avihu, who were killed during the inauguration. I will say again, why are we quoting this? Because what do you see from here? Katani Mihas Yevama Melech. I will say, well, what you do see from here is that what? One of her sources of simcha was that her brother-in-law Moshe was the king. Melech in Kohen Gadol lo. I will say, what do you see from here? That Moshe was the king, but he was not the Kohen Gadol. To which the Gemara says, no, you can read it. Right, Ema Af Melech. You agree to say that what? He was also the king. In other words, he was both a Kohen Gadol as well as a king. So Ki Tanoim. So we'll say this whole idea of Moshe being a Kohen Gadol is Machlokes Tanoim. Vayichar Af Hashem Moshe. So remember again, the pasuk says Chosh Baruch Hu got angry at Moshe. Now when does Chosh Baruch Hu get angry at Moshe? This is by the sneh. Chosh Baruch Hu was trying to convince Moshe, or he's trying to tell Moshe that you are going to lead the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu refuses. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so Moshe tries to say, let Aaron do it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry at Moshe. Vayichar Af Hashem Moshe. Supposed to say, now watch this. These are amazing Gemaras. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karchom, Rabbi Shmuel ben Karchom says, Kol Charon Af Shebatorah Ne'emar Bo Roshem V'zeh Lo Ne'emar Bo Roshem. We'll say, in general, whenever the pasuk uses lashon of Charon Af we'll say means like nostril flaring angry. Whenever God gets nostril flaring angry, there's always some residual impact, right? There's always some type of negative blowback that remains even after the anger subsides. V'zeh lo ne'emar bo roshem. But yet, interesting enough, Rabbi, in this particular situation, there is no roshem. In this particular situation, there doesn't seem to be any type of residual impact on Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Gemara says, Shimon Yochai Omer, Avzen ne'emar bo roshem. Rashbi says it's not true. We will say even over here when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry at Moshe Rabbeinu, there is a lasting impact. What's lasting impact? We'll say, listen to this. This is amazing. Shene Emar, Halo Aaron Achicha Halevi. Because we'll say the pasuk says, remember, Moshe says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let Aaron do it. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. God gets upset at Moshe, and what does he say? I have a position for Aaron also. Halo Aaron Achicha Halevi, Yadati ki daber yedaber hu. Aaron, your brother Levi, he's also going to be a spokesman for the people. Levi, Valo Kohen. Why does it call Aaron a Levi? Aaron's a Kohen. Oh, says Rashbi, we'll say, listen to this. Life-changing. Hachid Kamar. Ani amarti ata Kohen v'hu Levi. Originally, Moshe, you were supposed to be the Kohen, and Aaron was the Levi. Achshav hu Kohen v'ata Levi. But because of your abstinence and unwillingness to go ahead and fulfill your mission, therefore what? He will be the Kohen and you will be the Levi. So therefore, we'll say Rashbi says that even in this case, the Charon Af of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? The anger of the Ribono Shalom, in fact, does leave its residual impact. We'll say, what's the mussar in this? We'll say, humility is a very fine line. So humility what does humility tell me? We'll say the idea of humility is that I recognize that as much as I have accomplished, there is still so much more than I can do. And for everything that I can do, there's 10 other things that I could also be accomplishing. But a person has to be so careful that when opportunity knocks, and when it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs you for a shlichus, you have to rise to the occasion. You have to answer the call. Because when you don't answer the call, you betray your very shlichus in this world. That's what's happening over here. The Rebbe Shalom says, Moshe, I got it. You're an Anav. I understand ultimately you're humble. I understand you think it's I'm God. And if I'm God and I'm telling you I need you to do something, there's only one answer, and that is, right? What time should I be there? Right? That's it. There's only a yes, and of course. And so the Zohar says, it's an incredible yisod. The Charon Af over here is HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling Moshe Rabbeinu, you're betraying your shlichus. You're betraying your shlichus. I asked you to do something, and when I ask you to fulfill your shlichus, you have to rise to the occasion. So the Gemara goes right to. Therefore, again, Rashbi suggests Moshe was a Kohen and he lost the kahuna. The Chacham say no. Moshe Chacham say no. Moshe Rabbeinu was never a Kohen and was never supposed to be a Kohen. The only time he acted in the capacity of the kahuna was when? During the 7 days of inauguration. Which I will say, the logic behind that is because Aaron himself was not yet inducted into the kahuna. Meaning it's only during the 7 days of inauguration that Aaron is inducted. During that time, Moshe Rabbeinu was serving as the Kohen Gadol. Ve'eshomim. Others say, "Lo paska kahuna ela mizaro shel Moshe." Others say, "No, Moshe was a Kohen." So what happened to the kahuna? It was only a one-generation kahuna. In other words, the kahuna was for him, but the kahuna ultimately again did not extend to his children. Shene'emar u'Moshe isha Elokim bana v'ikru al shevet halevi. Because we'll say the pasuk in Divrei Yomim says, Moshe, the man of God, his sons will be counted amongst the tribe of Levi. Va'omer Moshe va'Aaron b'kohanav u'Shmuel b'korei shemo. And the pasuk says Moshe and Aaron and their kahuna, and Shmuel will be known by name. My va'omer, I will say, what exactly is the meaning of the juxtaposition of these two psukim? So watch this. V'chitema l'doros u'dichsiv. So we'll say, maybe you'll say that ultimately again, so Moshe's kahuna should extend for generations. Therefore the pasuk says, no, va'omer Moshe va'Aaron b'kohanav. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen, but ultimately, again, the kahuna did not go ahead and devolve to his son. So you see over here, and this is really like an amazing historical debate as to the status of Moshe Rabbeinu. So you have everything from saying Moshe Rabbeinu was never a Kohen, he was supposed to be a Kohen, but never a Kohen, to Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen his entire life, just it did not pass down to his children. To Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen, but only during the days of inauguration. But the rest of the days he was not. So all these different historical machlokas as to the status of Moshe Rabbeinu. So also we're jumping back just for a moment. We said the Choron Af Shabbatorah Ne'amar Bo Roshem. Now I will say, is that true? That every time the Torah used lashon of Choron Af, divine fury, that there is some type of residual impact even after the fact? So the Gemara says, what about the pasuk that says Vayetze Moshe me'im Paro b'chori af? So we'll say the pasuk says Moshe Rabbeinu left Paro b'chori af, very angry. Right? This is after the Makos when Paro refused during the Makos. Paro refused to listen. Moshe Rabbeinu walks out from Paro with blazing anger. So we'll say now there's a case of the word Choron Af being used, and there doesn't seem to be any type of residual impact. So the Gemara says Velo. So Velo Amrle Velo Midi. And I will say ultimately again, there's no residual impact on Paro from Moshe Rabbeinu's anger. To which the Gemara says Amrei Shlakish Satra V'Yatzav. I'll say this is wild. No, it's not true. Moshe Rabbeinu slapped Paro in the face, literally, and then he left. So you see over here, Choron Af does mean that there was a residual impact. Moshe Rabbeinu slapped Paro. And I says, what? The Rish Lakish actually say this, Vaksiv, but the pasuk says, V'nitzavta likrosa asvas hayor. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu in the beginning of the Makos, right? Go to Paro and go greet him at the bank of the Nile. Right? Paro used to bathe in the mornings. Go greet him by the banks of the Nile. V'amar Rish Lakish, and Rish Lakish said, Melechu v'hizbir upon him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Paro, Moshe, listen, Paro is a king, and you have to treat him with respect. In other words, even though Paro is the oppressive tyrant, he is a melech, and monarchy must always be treated with respect. I will say this, by the way, is such an incredible yisod within Yiddishkeit about a respect for authority, even if I disagree with the authority, right? And this comes up when let's say there are leaders who we might not necessarily agree with, but there's sometimes just a respect for the concept of the office. See here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe, you have to give kavod to Paro. Yeah, what are you talking about? I have to give kavod to Paro. Paro's a tyrant, right? Paro's a terrible person. Okay, but he's the melech, and the melech deserves kavod. So the Gemara says, Melechu v'hizbir upon him. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Rashahu v'hi is panav panecha bo. So we'll say, but 1 second. But Rabbi Yochanan said he's a rasha. Because Baruch Hu told Moshe, Paro's a rasha, and the truth is you should be chutzpahdik to him. To which the Gemara says, Epoch. Just switch around the shitos. It's Rish Lakish who actually said that you should be chutzpah, and that's why it's Reish Lakish who says that what? That the Moshe Rabbeinu went out b'chari af. When he went out b'chari af, ultimately again, what did he do? He slapped him. So Reish Lakish, therefore Reish Lakish l'shitaso, Cheshach Baruch Hu saying Moshe Rabbeinu to be chutzpah to Paro, and therefore again Moshe Rabbeinu slaps Paro on his way out. Amar Rabbi Yanai. We'll say Li'olam. So again, we're just going kind of themes. Very exciting Gemara. Li'olam te'imas malchus alecha. We'll say the fear of the monarchy. Really, what it means over here is the reverence of monarchy should always be upon you. We'll say now the idea over here is as follows. This is talking about a situation where even if I'm not a fan of the monarch, right? Even if I'm not a fan of the monarch, ultimately, again, that's even if I still have to have a respect for the monarchy, and more than just not being a fan of the monarch. Even if the monarchy is objectively not good, there ultimately again is a kavod that I give to the monarchy. The chsiv, v'yardu kol avadecha ela elai, v'ilu l'didei lo kamei. We'll say because the pasuk says Moshe Rabbeinu foreshadowing. Ultimately, again, that when it comes to makas bechoros, because Moshe Rabbeinu tells Paro, right now you're obstinate and you're not letting us go. When it comes to the end of the makos, your servants will come running after me, begging us to leave. Now, I will say, what Moshe Rabbeinu really wanted to say was what? Paro, right now you're telling me to get out of here. You yourself will come running to me begging for us to leave. But out of cover for the monarchy, he did not want to talk that way to Paro. So instead, he doesn't say Paro will come running to me. He says ultimately, again, the servants will come running to me. Filu lididei lo ka'amarle. Rabbi Yochanan says from here, V'yat Hashem haisa el Elio v'yishanes masnav v'yaras lefnei achav. Both say this is wild. So the pasuk says that the hand of God was upon Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi was once traveling, and he saw Achav. Achav was the king of Yisrael. Achav, Rabbi say, was an incredible Rasha. But yet Eliyahu Navi saw that he was traveling without an entourage. So Eliyahu feels that it is inappropriate for the king to be traveling without an accompaniment, and therefore what does he do? He runs in front of the king's chariot. We'll say Achav was an Ovid Avodah Zarah, and that was the least of his issues, right? But yet again, Eliyahu Hanavi felt that there was a covet ultimately again for the monarchy. There was a covet ultimately again for the leader. Amr Ula. We'll say, by the way, just there's so much to say on this, because again, there are so many contemporary applications of this idea about how a person has to speak in a certain reverential tone about leaders, even if I vehemently disagree. There's a way to in general, there's a way to disagree, but still maintain derech eretz and still maintain kavod. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, when he vehemently disagrees, and that's putting it mildly, with Paro, ultimately, again, he never does so in a way which compromises the dignity of Paro. Eliyahu Hanavi says many pieces of scathing rebuke to Achav, but yet again goes out of his way to run before his chariot in order to maintain the dignity of the king. So there's a way to disagree while never chas v'shalom eroding at the personal or monarchical dignity of another individual. Pretty incredible. So the Gemara says as follows: Amar Ula, Bikesh Moshe Malchus lo nasnalo. Moshe wanted to be king. He wanted to be king, but it was not given to him. So I say, where do we see this from? V'chsev al tikrav halom. Because we also say the pasuk says, "Do not." Literally translated, it means, "Do not come close." I will say now again, this is by the sneh. So what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu sees the sneh; it's burning, right, and he begins to approach it. So the pasuk says, "Vayomer al tikrav halom shal na'alecha mi'araglecha." Do not come too close. Take your shoes off your feet. Ve'in halom ela malchus. And I will say the word halom means malchus, means monarchy. Shene emar, mi anochi Hashem Elokim, ki havi'isani ad halom. Because I will say the pasuk says that David HaMelech says, Ribono Shalom, who am I? That you have brought me close. So you see, the closeness is a reference to monarchy. So I say this is wild, because it seems to say that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was dialoguing with God, requested monarchy. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, you may not have monarchy. You may not have monarchy. So I will say, by the way, just understand, how does this shtim that Moshe Rabbeinu wants monarchy when at the end of the day he doesn't want anything? We'll say, so I think there could be a simple, not a simple pshat, but maybe a possible pshat in this. So we'll say, what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying was as follows, which is, Ribono Shalom, I don't want to do this job. But if you want me to do this job, there's one thing I'm going to ask for, which is what? Autonomy. Absolute authority. If you want me to get it done, I'll do it with absolute authority. In other words, Moshe Rabbeinu knew what happened in Jewish organizations. So what happens? He's afraid you want me to lead the Jewish organization. That's fantastic. And then what's going to happen with this one and this one and this one and this one? He says, you know what? I'll make you a deal. If I'm the king with absolute authority, then I could lead. But amazingly enough, what does the Kadosh Baruch Hu tell him? What does Kadosh Baruch Hu say? No, which is quite. Now, why Kadosh Baruch Hu said no to that request also, we'll say, requires some incredible insight. I think on a basic level, why does Kadosh Baruch Hu say no to the monarchy request? Because what the monarchy request was, it would have been shifting Klal Yisrael from one absolute ruler to another absolute ruler. It would have gone from Paro to Moshe, and that would have stunted the maturation of Klal Yisrael. Part of what Klal Yisrael needed to do, but very often failed to do, was to take autonomy, to take responsibility, to take the reins of their destiny, to dafka not have a king, but for each of them to be the monarch over their own lives. So Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't want to take the job. He says, I'll take the job if you give me absolute authority, because then I can get it done. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no, there will come a time when Klal Yisrael will need a king. Right now, I don't need another absolute ruler. Right now, I need a Navi, I need a Kohen Gadol, I need other people to help lead, but I need the people to take a certain level of personal responsibility over the nature, direction, and trajectory of their lives. So the Gemara goes weiter. So the Gemara says, Massive Rava. So also Rava says as follows, Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Yevama Melech. So we'll say, listen to this, but one second. We said before, I will say that what? Elisheva, who was the wife of Aaron HaKohen. So remember again, she had multiple brachos. What was the number that we had over here? Five, thank you. 5 additional brachos over everyone else on the day of the inauguration of the Mishkan. One of them, in fact, number 1 bracha was that what? Her brother-in-law was king. So you see from here that what? Moshe Rabbeinu was the Melech. Amarava lo ulizaro ka'amar. So we'll say the Gemara suggests, what it means is Moshe Rabbeinu wanted a dynastic monarchy. He wanted monarchy for himself and for his children. He was given the monarchy, but ultimately, again, his children were not. It did not pass down to his children. So you're telling me then that wherever the Torah says, or wherever the Tanakh says halom, I will say, doesn't just mean monarchy. It means what? Dynastic monarchy. Monarchy for the individual and for future generations. So the Gemara says, V'ha gabi shol dichsiv haba od halom. So we'll say here, the pasuk says, "Vayishal Oba Hashem hava od halom ish vayomer Hashem hinehu nechbal akim." We'll say this is talking about when Shaul was chosen as king. So Shmuel Hanavi wants to introduce Klal Yisrael to their new king. There's only one problem, which is the king is nowhere to be found. Where was he? He was hiding. Sometimes leaders have that Yetzer Hara, right? He was hiding amongst the Caleb. Why? Because again, he didn't want the job. And I hear the word halom is used in the context of Shaul and his monarchy. Shaul did not have a dynastic monarchy. It was just Shaul. The monarchy does not pass down to his son, Yonasan. So the Gemara says, Haba od halom ishu who in zaro lo. So we'll say, see from here that halom doesn't mean dynastic monarchy. Iba yisema ha. So we'll say one possibility is no. Shaul actually had a son who was king, at least for a little while before he was assassinated, and his name was Ishbosheth. But I say this is after Shaul and Yonasan dies. Shaul's general decides, David HaMelech has been anointed already, but one of Shaul's generals decides to perpetuate Shaul's line. He wasn't really interested in perpetuating Shaul's line, he was interested in perpetuating his own, or consolidating his own power. But Ishbosheth, so in other words, so Shaul does have like a shtickle dynastic monarchy, and that his son Ishbosheth rules. V'yibayisem shiny Shaul. But so the other possibility is you can't bring a right from Shaul. Why not? Dafilu b'gavei lokan, because Shaul's own monarchy was not strong. In other words, Shaul's issue was not that he didn't have an heir. Shaul's issue was that he unraveled himself. So because he himself unraveled, therefore by definition the monarchy did not pass down to his child. Kid Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Chanina, b'shasha poskim gidul adam poskim lo ulazaro asof kalos. Well, it's actually amazing. When a Kadosh Baruch Hu gives greatness to a person, in general, that greatness is given to that individual, to himself and to his children, for all future generations. Shene Emar, lo yigra mitzadik enov, ve'es malachim lekisei. V'im hegis daito, but if he becomes arrogant, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashpilo. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings him down. Shneimar v'masurim bezikim yolkudun bechev leoni. So we'll say the idea over here is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives greatness to an individual, the assumption is that that greatness will remain with that person as well as with his offspring. It is theirs to lose. So ultimately, if they misbehave or abuse the power in some way, then it's taken away. But lemaisa, again, if, however, the individual used it correctly, then by definition it extends to all future generations. Could Shaul have had a dynastic monarchy? So I'll say this in and of itself is a fascinating question to contemplate. Because on one hand, Shaul is not from Shevet Yehuda, it's from Shevet Ephraim. So remember, Malchus comes from Shevet Yehuda, but yet we see that Chazal entertained the possibility that Shaul could have had a dynastic monarchy. Now when we say dynastic, lav dafka, that all of his descendants would have been kings the Olam Va'ed, but there certainly at least was the possibility for a second generation of Yehona's son, had Shaul himself not unraveled. In the aftermath of the debacle with Amalek, so Shaul himself begins to unravel. That's why there's no dynastic monarchy, not because of anything else. It was a beautiful Gemara. So let's go weiter. So now a little bit back to the Mishnah. Ba'ali Mumin, Bein Ba'ali Mumin. So also remember again, the Mishnah said that Ba'ali Mumin, a Kohen who has a mum, a Kohen who has some kind of blemish, whether again they are Ba'ali Mumin Overin, or Ba'ali Mumin Kuvuin, whether we'll say it's a mum over. We'll say mum over means a mum that what? Goes away, it's temporary. Or a mum kavua, which means a permanent mum. Either way, we'll say, what is the halacha? Ochlin v'cholkin, or I should say cholkin v'ochlin. They receive a sacrificial portion, meaning they're allotted a portion, and they're able to eat from karbanos. So says the Gemara, Menahani, where do we get this from? The Tan Rabban calls Zachar Rabbas Bali Mumin, because the Pasuk says Kol Zachar, every male, right? And that comes to include Bali Mumin. Lemay, so including Bali Mumin for what? Ilachila, if it's to eat karbanos, right? Kvar ne'emar, lechem elokam mekachek adoshem yochal. So our pasuk already says that they can eat karbanos. Ella lechaluka. Rather, we'll say what it means is that halacha lemay. Remember again, we'll say understand what this means. The chaluka. What this means is the kohanim are split up into 24 mishmoros, 24 shifts. Each shift is comprised of multiple families. Each family served at a different time in the Beis Hamikdash. When you were on shift, so you got a chilek, you got a portion of any karbanos that were brought, which means that if there is a kohen who is a Baal Mum, he gets a portion. He gets a portion. That's what it means. So he can eat, but not only does he eat, but he actively is allocated a portion. So we'll say, Tanya Idach, a Bryce that supports this. Kol Zachar the Rabbas Bali Mumin. When the Pasuk says Kol Zachar, that comes to include Bali Mumin. Lamai, what does come to include them for? Ilach, if it's the karbanos, right? Kvar Amar, it's already stated. Lechaluka, we'll say Kuf Beis Amad Aleph, 5 lines up from the bottom. Lechaluka, if it's for a portion, then what? Hare Kvar Ne, Hare Kvar Amar. Sheyochol Inli Elatam V'Ne'aseh Balmum. Because I would have thought as follows. We'll say, I would have thought that who is the Baal Mum who gets a chilek in the karbanos? Only someone who at one point in time was whole and then became a Baal Mum. However, Baal Mum me'ikaro minai. We'll say, how do we know that a kohen was a Baal Mum from birth, that he still gets a portion in the karbanos? Talmud Lomar, Kol Zachar. Therefore, the pasuk says every male kohen, even if what? Even if he is a Baal Mum from birth. So the Gemara goes weiter. Tanya Idach, another brayso. Kol Zachar l'Rabbos Baal Mum. So the pasuk Kol Zachar comes to include a Baal Mum. Lemai comes to include him for what? Ilachila, if it's for carbonic consumption. Hare Kvar Amar, we already learned that. Ilachaluka, we will say if it's to go ahead and get a portion of karbanos, meaning to be allocated a portion. Hare Kvar Amar, it's also already stated. V'ila Baal Mum me'ikaro, and if you want to say ultimately again, it's to come to include a Baal Mum who was a Baal Mum from birth. Hare Kvar Amar, that's also already stated. Sheyachol Einli Ela Baal Mum Kavua. I would have thought Rabbi say that's what it's only Baal Mum Kavua. Ava Baal Mum over Minayin. Rabbi said this is a fascinating Havamina. The Gemara says I would have thought that which is the Baal Mum who gets a Chaluka and who gets Achila? Only a Baal Mum Kavua. But a Baal Mum over, someone who has a passing mum, a temporary mum, maybe he shouldn't get anything. Talmud Lomar Kol Zachar. Therefore, the pasuk says Kol Zachar. So Gemara says I don't understand Klap Elaya. Just the opposite. In other words, I would have thought that ultimately, again, should I both say, it is a much easier sell to tell me that a Baal Mum over gets a portion, and if anyone's going to potentially be excluded, be a Baal Mum Kavua. Why would I have thought that a Baal Mum over would be excluded? Rav Sheshes says Epok. So Rav Sheshes says, you're right, turn it around. Rav Asher the Olam Lo Epok. Rav Asher says, no, don't turn, I'll tell you why. Vitztrich, you need both, and I'll tell you why. I would have thought, we'll say on the base, Ki tame. Because we'll say the Baal Mum is like a person who is tame. Ma tame, kamad lo tar lo ochil. We'll say just like when a person is tame, as long as he is tame and not tahor, he may not partake of karbanos in any way. Af hai nami kamad lo matakin lo ochil. I would have thought to say that a Baal Mum over, a person who has a temporary blemish, is like what? Someone who is tame. We'll say what happens when you're tame? You have to wait until your state changes and then you could partake of the karbanos. I would have thought the Havamina is that a Baal Mum Kavua is the same exact, a Baal Mum over is the same exact way. When you have the Mum, you cannot eat the karbanos, right? You don't get a chilek. You have to wait until what? Until the Mum is healed, you're restored, and then you can eat. Kamash Mala, no. Kamash Mala will say that whether you are a Baal Mum Kavua, permanently blemished, or Baal Mum over, or even temporarily blemished, the halach is that what? Such a kohen is able to eat from the karbanos, and such a kohen, in fact, receives a chilek in the karbanos. Kol shein rois. Well, then the Mishnah espouses a principle. What's the principle? What is the principle? The principle is kol she'ino ra'i la'avoda eno cholek babasar. Any kohen who is not fit for the avoda does not receive a portion in the meat. The chol she'in labasar, fine. That's the principle. If you can't work in the Beis HaMikdash, if you can't do the avoda, you do not get a portion. That's the cloud. The Gemara says, really? Velo? V'hari Baal Mum. We'll say, but 1 second, you just contradicted yourself. What about a Baal Mum? Dilo ra'i la'avoda v'cholek. We'll say the Baal Mum is someone who what? Who is not fit for avoda. But yeah, what did we just say? Rabbi say? Whether you're a Baal Mum Kavua or a Baal Mum over, ultimately, again, you are getting a portion in the karbanos. To which the Gemara says, V'su, V'hari Baal Mum, Delori Lavo, the V'cholek, V'su, Haroi Lavo, the Cholek. I will say, furthermore, are you telling me that every single person who is fit for avoda gets a portion in karbanos? That's not true either. I'll tell you why. But it's actually amazing. Hare tame bikarbanos sibor. But say, listen to this. Let's say you have a kohen who is tame. Listen to the following situation. A kohen who is tame, ultimately again, a kohen who is tame, when let's say we'll say in a case where the majority of the tzibor is tame. So what's the halacha if the majority of the tzibor is tame and the kohen is tame? We'll say what's the halacha? The kohen does the avodah karbanos tzibor. Now, in that case over there, we'll say he could offer up the coin, but what? Eino cholek. You see, you could do the avoda in a state of tumah. What can't you do? You can't eat karbanos in a state of tumah. So we'll say, so you see from here that there is a case of someone who could do the avoda, but yet can't eat. So the Gemara is saying your klal is flawed. To which the Gemara says, no. Ro'i la'achila kamar. What it means, we'll say, ultimately again, is anyone who is fit for achila. So we'll say what it means is ultimately again anyone who is fit for achila, that's the cloud. V'hare katan. What about the katan? The ra'il achila ve'eno cholek. We'll say what about a katan who is fit for carbonic consumption, but yet what? Does not receive a portion. So we'll say a katan who is a kohen is able to eat karbanos, but he is not allocated a carbonic portion. To which the Gemara says, Hashta da asis lahachi. Now that you're mentioning this, the olam kid kamar meikara. We'll go back to our original understanding. Im yishum tamei, tamei lo katan. So if you want to bring down the case of tamei, the Mishnah is just not dealing with that case. V'im yishum Baal Mum, and if you want to say something about Baal Mum, Rachmana Rabbi. Baal Mum is also the exclusion. Why Rabbi saying? Because there's a pasuk that comes to be marbeit. Good. So I'll say, so in other words, what the Gemara says is the principle is true except when it's not. I will say, like every principle, there are exclusions. So the general principle is whoever is fit for avoda gets a chilik in the karbanos. Are there exceptions to that rule? Yes, there are exceptions to that rule of people who could eat even though they don't have a chilik, and there are exceptions to that rule about people who are not fit for avoda but yet do get a portion, like the Baal Mum. But I will say, but that's the exception. And why is that the exception? That's the exception because an explicit pasuk that is married by that. Beautiful. I feel time b'shas zrikas damim v'tar b'shas ha'hektar chalavim einu cholik. So we'll say. So the Mishnah says something very interesting. The Mishnah said, let's just keep my place there. Right? The Mishnah said that the halacha is as follows. The halacha is that if the kohen is tamei at the time of zrika, right, the sprinkling of the blood, even if what? Even if he's tahor by the time that they're burning the fats and the limbs. In other words, he's tamei at the beginning of the process, but is tahor by the end. So technically he could partake of the carbon. What's the halacha Rabosai? He may not eat the carbon. Why? Eino cholik babasar. We'll say the idea being that in order to partake of the meat, you have to be fit for avoda at the time of the zrika. if you're not fit for avodah at the time of the zrika, even if you become subsequently fit, the halacha is you may not partake of the carbon. So the Gemara says, "Hatar b'shas zrikas dam v'tami b'shas hektar chalav." What could we infer from this? That if halacha l'maisa, he was tar at the time of zrika, but what? Then became tamei, and he was tamei at the time that the limbs were burnt. It's what? He does get a portion. In other words, it sounds like everything is determined by this at the time of zrika. So it says, "Maslisin lo kabashol." Are not reflective of Abashal. But I understand, by the way, this is so important because if you're a Kohen of Osai, remember again, how long did Kohanim serve in the Mikdash? So pretty much, not really much more than 1 week a year, maybe. Remember again, in that week, so maybe you're getting 2 days. So this idea is that when you were whole, so to speak, number one, we're going to see you're getting meat, and the idea of what I say is your ability is very. It's not the shot, okay? This is something more profound. There's an element of also over here. So what I'm saying, the sign of a shalom. Remember again, it should sound like that the determining factor for a Kohen's ability to partake at a ability from avoda, as determined by what at what time? Shas zrika. So it sounds like from the Mishnah that as long as he's tahar, able to do avoda at the time of the zrika, even if he subsequently becomes tamei, he still gets a chelik in karbanos. Abba Shaul says no. Abba Shaul says you only get a portion in karbanos if what? If you are tahar for the entire carbonic process. Mishas zrika ad shas hektar chalavim ve'ivarim. Only if you are tar at beginning and at end do you get the chelik in the karbanos. Damar kra, because the pasuk says hamakrives dam ashlam ve'asachiliv dafilu hektar chalavim naiboy. So we'll say fundamental machlokes Abba Shaul and the Tanakama. Is it enough to be tar at the shas zrika to give you a carbonic portion, or must you be tar from zrika until hektar chalavim ve'ivarim? Machlokes. Rashi will say, here we go. Rashi, nitma ben sayimahu. We'll say, what happens? So listen to this. In Abba Shaul's model, where you have to be tar for at the bookends. What happens if you become tamei in the middle? As well say, let's say again, halacha l'maisa, Kohen is tar at the shas zrika and tar at the shas hektar chalavim ve'ivarim. But what? He becomes tamei somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. So let's say it's the type of tumah. Let's say tumas sheretz, which again, technically speaking, you just go to the mikvah and herav shemesh. So remember, under normal circumstances, that's all happening in one day. You do the zrika during the day. Hektar chalav. When do they burn the limbs of Osai? At night. So you could have a case where a kohen becomes tamei. Obviously, this wouldn't work with corpse tumah, because corpse tumah is a 7-day tumah, but one of the lower forms of tumah, where technically speaking, you become tamei and you're in and out. Into the mikvah, herav shemesh, you're good to go. So I could be, if I'm a kohen, I could be tar to shas zrika and tar at the shas hektar chalavim ve'ivarim, but tamei somewhere in the middle. So also remember, according to the Mishnah, this shaila doesn't get off the ground. Why not? Seriously, because all you need is tara at the shas zrika. This shaila only comes up according to Abba Shaul, who says you need to be tar at beginning and end. So what does beginning and end mean? Does beginning and end mean through the entire process, or beginning and end literally means beginning and end, even if you become tamei somewhere in the middle? So the Gemara says. So listen to this. Mao b'shas zrika b'shas haktara b'inon. Do we say it's enough to be tar at the time of the zrika and the haktara, and therefore again, even if you became tamei in the middle, we don't care. Va'odilma adshe tar mishas zrika. So the shaila is, does Abba Shaul mean you have to be tar at beginning and end, but even if you become tamei in the middle, it's still okay? Or does he mean no, you must be tar what? The entire time. To which the Gemara says, Teku, Navi. Amar Rava, Haidina me Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Gamirna. Listen to this is amazing. Rava says, we learn this halacha from Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon, the Amar Bebesakise, done, right? Because he said this halacha in the bathroom. Now I'll say, now what that means we're going to see at the end of this sugya. So what do you mean you said halacha in the bathroom? You're not allowed to learn Torah in the bathroom. So watch this. Dansa. He said, we'll say first wide line. He says you could understand the following halacha. So we'll say what he does is he illustrates all of these halachos through a conversation between a Kohen, two Kohanim, one who is Tamei, one who is Tar. So listen to this. But Tvul Yom. We'll say, so who's a Tvul Yom? A Tvul Yom is a Kohen who contracted Tumah and ultimately again went to the mikvah, but still requires Harav Shemesh, setting of the sun. So we'll say, watch this. Let's say, so two Kohanim, both part of the same base av. So meaning they're both on shift, right? They're on shift, they're on call, right? They're working in the base of Mikdash. So what happens? The Tvul Yom comes to his fellow Kohen and says, Va'amar tein li mincha va'ochal, give me some of the mincha and let me eat it. Amar lo, so we'll say the Torah Kohen can say to him, Uma'im b'makom shiyafa kocha b'chatascha, dichisicha mechatas Yisrael. So we'll say the Torah Kohen could say to the Tvul Yom, listen, I'm not going to give you from the mincha, I'm going to tell you why. If in a case where let's say you do have rights, for example, in your chatos, right? If a Kohen brings a chatos, he has rights in his own chatos. Dichisicha mechatas Yisrael. You are not permitted to partake of the chatos of the Yisrael. Makom shora kochacha b'minchascha inodin shadicha minchas Yisrael. Then all the more so what? All the more so we'll say, see if a Kohen brings his own mincha, what's the halacha? He can't eat it. So you're both saying a regular mincha, if Yisrael brings a mincha, so the soles is offered up. Excuse me, not the soles, the kometz is offered up, and the Kohen gets the rest of it. If he brings his own mincha, he doesn't get to eat any of it. So the Torah Kohen says, listen, if when it comes to your own chatos, right, you get to partake of it, but yet here because you're a Tvul Yom, you don't get to partake of a chatos Yisrael, then all the more so in a case of a mincha, where you wouldn't partake of your own mincha if you brought it, certainly you don't get a piece or a portion of the minchas Yisrael. So the Tvul Yom says, Umam dechisani mechatas Yisrael. But 1 second, when I'm excluded from mechatas Yisrael, shekashem shiyafe kochi kach yafe kochacha. So this mechatas Yisrael, the Tvul Yom says to the other Kohen, listen, by regular chatos, you get a portion, and maybe so. Just like again, Kashem Shiafa Kochi, just like I have a portion, so to you, Torah Kohen also have a portion. Tedichani, that you could push me away from. Me mincha, when it comes to a mincha, Shekashem Shahora Kochi, Kach Hora Kochacha. The same way by a mincha, however, the Tvul Yom says to the Torah Kohen, the same way that I am compromised, you are compromised. So maybe in this case, however, my Tumah, my Tvul Yom Tumah status, does not compromise me from partaking of the mincha. Hareyu Omer. Therefore, the Torah Kohen could say, the pasuk says, La Kohina Makrivo Solo Tia. The pasuk says, who gets to eat of the mincha for the Kohen who offers it up? Ba Hakre Va'achol. So the Torah Kohen says to the Tvul Yom, if you want some, come and offer it. Which is another way of saying, once you can't offer it, therefore by definition you can't partake. So we'll say, Tainli Michates Yisrael. So again, another conversation between the Tvul Yom and the Torah Kohen. Tainli Michates Yisrael Va'ochel. Let me partake of that chatos that you just offered up. Amalei, uma b'makom shara kochi b'minchasi dichisicha miminchas Yisrael. So the Torah Kohen says to the Tvul Yom, in a case of mincha, or even if I'm Torah, if I bring my own mincha, I can't partake of it, right? And ultimately, again, in the minchas Yisrael, you can't partake either. Makom shiyafa kochi b'chatasi. So therefore, the Torah Kohen says, in a situation where, again, in a chatos, my own chatos, where I have rights to eat it, inodin shadicha mechatas Yisrael, I can certainly preclude you from eating a chatas Yisrael. So we'll say all that's happening over here is we're illustrating these halachos that we already learned just through a dialogue, through a narrative. Amarle, so the Tvul Yom says, Umayim dechisani min chas Yisrael shekashem shara kocha kachora kochi. So the Tvul Yom says, but in the case of a mincha, I understand why you can push me away because I'm already compromised in that. But when it comes to Chatas Yisrael, shekashem shiyafe kochacha kach yafe kochi. When it comes to Chatas Yisrael, I'll say this. So the Tvul Yom says, just like you have rights, I have rights as well. To which the Torah Kohen says, Hariyu Omer, HaKoina Machatel Sayochlanu. The Kohen who sprinkles the blood, he's permitted to eat the carbon. So what does the Kohen Torah say to the Tvul Yom? Chatei va'achol. Good. Sprinkle the blood and come and eat. In other words, but since you can't do Zrika, therefore, what's Rabbi saying? You can't. So we'll say, again, it's this theme, all we're illustrating over here through this dialogue is the same idea. Namely, if you can't do the avoda, then what? You don't get a portion. Amrlei. So the Tvul Yom is not giving up. He says to the Torah Kohen, give me from the chazei and shok, give me from the chest and the thigh of the animal, v'ochal, and I'll eat it. So the Kohen Torah says to the Tvul Yom, in a situation where you do have rights, for example, bechatascha, Dichisicha mechatas Yisrael. In this case, where you are tamei, you cannot go ahead and eat from the chatas. So mechazei v'shog makom shahora kochacha b'shlamim she'im lecha b'han ela chazei v'shog. All the more so in the shlamim, where all you get to begin with is a portion of chazei v'shog. Eino din shadichacha. All the more so again, I have the right to set you aside and not give you a portion. To which the Tvul Yom says, ma'im dichisane mechatas. You could push me away from chatas shekein hora kochi at eitzon ashai vavadai, because by chatas my rights are compromised, and that I can't give from my chatas to my wife and to my servants. When it comes to chazek v'shok, say, I do have the rights ultimately again to share it with my family. Hareyu Omer, to which ultimately again the Tahar Kohen says, "La Kohen hazorek es dam hashlam lo yiyeh." The pasuk says, "For the Kohen who sprinkles the blood, he will get the shlamim." So what does the Tahar Kohen say to the Tvul Yom? Ba zrok va'achol. You want? Come and do zrika, and if you can't do zrika, you don't have a portion. Yatsa Tvul Yom. So we'll say that Tvul Yom realizes his arguments have fallen flat. Yatsa Tvul Yom kulav v'chamurav arosho. His whole kal v'chomer, none of it worked. Onein miyamino mechusar kapara mismolo. And Rabbi say he walks out, and the onein is on his right. The mechusar kapara, which is the individual who loves to bring karbanos to affect his kapara, is on his left, and they're all one chevra. Why are they all one chevra? Because all three of these guys are people who may not partake of any type of karbanos. Why, Rabbi? Ultimately, again, because of their inability ultimately to do the avoda. So the principle ultimately is upheld. The principle being that if you can't go ahead and participate in avoda, then what? Then you are unable to claim a sacrificial portion. We'll stop over here. We'll pick up a Mir Hashem over here tomorrow.